She came from nowhere to claim $100 million. But the wicked stepmother has a plan to destroy her. Welcome to African Tales Story. Subscribe now, because the throne is about to burn. Before I continue, my dear friends, please take a moment to hit the subscribe button, like, and share this video with your loved ones. Your support means the world to me. Thank you so much. I want you to imagine a family so rich, their shadows felt like silk. That was the Adebayo family. They had money, power, and a name that echoed in the high halls of Lagos. The man at the center of all this, Chief Tunde Adebayo. He was the patriarch, the ultimate decision maker, and to his family, he was like a god. His life was perfect, at least, the life everyone saw was perfect. One Tuesday morning, while closing a massive deal in London, Chief Adebayo did what no one expected: he died. Just like that, a massive heart attack. The news hit Lagos like a thunderbolt. Whenever a king falls, a scramble begins, and the secrets he buried in life start to claw their way out of the ground. Mrs. Vivian Adebayo, the chief's wife. She wasn't just a wife. She was an architect of the family's image, always dressed in flawless lace and diamonds. She ran the charity foundations and made sure everyone knew her children, Tunde and Lara, were the rightful heirs. Vivian didn't cry much when the news came. She was too busy securing an empire. She gathered her children and told them firmly, "Everything belongs to us. There will be no surprises. We control the narrative." Oh, Vivian. If only she knew the narrative had already changed. Now, let me introduce you to Amara. She lived in a small, cramped apartment across town, defined by textbooks and struggle. Her mother, who had passed away 2 years ago, had given her one final instruction: you must open the small, rusted box under the bed. Amara finally opened the box after the chief's death. Inside, she found a bundle of old love letters and one crucial document, a birth certificate bearing the name Tunde Adebayo, father. That single piece of paper turned her world upside down. Only Vivian, Tunde Jr., Lara, and the family lawyer, Mr. Okoro, were left in the drawing room. Okoro began reading the chief's last will. Vivian smiled a tight, triumphant smile as the first clauses granted everything to her children. But then, Okoro's voice changed. He looked up, directly at Vivian, and read the next line: "To my firstborn daughter, Amara, I bequeath the controlling shares of Adebayo Oil, my personal residence in Ikoyi, and the entirety of my private estate." Vivian's face went from pale ivory to scarlet fury. Firstborn daughter. Vivian didn't just react, she exploded. "Stop reading this nonsense immediately, Okoro!" she shrieked. "This is a forged document. Tunde never had another child. I was his only wife." Mr. Okoro stammered. "Chief Adebayo prepared this will himself, and it was signed and notarized just 3 months ago. We also have a sealed, secondary document proving the relationship." This was no longer a reading of a will, it was the declaration of a family war. Lara finally asked about the secondary document. Okoro reluctantly showed them a photograph. A younger Chief Adebayo smiling, holding a gentle woman's hand, with a tiny girl, Amara, beside them. Seeing that proof hit Tunde Jr. and Lara hard. It wasn't just about the inheritance, it was the betrayal of their father's secret life. Okoro explained that the chief also left a personal letter for Amara, confirming her identity. While the storm raged in the mansion, Amara prepared. She wasn't motivated by money, but by her mother's memory and the dignity her father had denied them both in life. She held the letter. "You are my heart, my greatest secret. This letter is your proof." She put on the cleanest dress she owned, picked up her briefcase with the documents, and aimed herself straight at the mansion. She was ready to face the family that wanted to erase her. The next day, Amara walked through the sculpted iron gates of the Adebayo compound. Inside, Vivian was waiting, dressed in a fierce red gown, flanked by her children. When Amara stepped into the drawing room, Vivian looked her up and down with a sneer. "So, you are the latest street stray trying to claim a piece of my husband's empire," Vivian said, her voice dripping with ice. "You may have a piece of paper, but you will never have this family." The battle had officially begun. Vivian launched her attack professionally. On the evening news, she appeared as the heartbroken widow. "My husband was preyed upon," she told the anchor, crying fake tears. "A young woman has emerged with a fake will, trying to steal the legacy meant for my innocent children. This is nothing more than an elaborate fraud." The next morning, Amara's face was plastered across every headline. Vivian's children weaponized social media. Lara posted a tearful video, calling Amara a low-life scammer. Tunde Jr. mocked her modest background. Amara's DMs were flooded with hate, calling her a ghetto gold digger. Amara felt the weight of a city judging her, but she refused to run. Instead of giving the media a reaction, Amara chose a direct, powerful strike. She filed an official injunction against the Adebayo family, immediately freezing all the chief's assets and removing Vivian and Tunde Jr. from all company boards. This made the news shift. The alleged fraudster freezes Adebayo empire assets. Amara had used the law to strike right at the heart of Vivian's power. Vivian met secretly with Mr. Okoro, demanding he find a way to destroy Amara's documents. Okoro was terrified. He confessed the chief had installed a digital key on the corporate server that only unlocked a final video message and full financial records if Amara's claim was successful. If Vivian harmed Amara or her proof, the key could activate early and expose everything. Vivian realized destroying the evidence was too risky. She needed a new, more personal plan. Vivian decided to use a Trojan horse, someone to gain Amara's trust and steal her evidence. She hired Richard Oyelowo, a charming, indebted young man. Vivian offered him a massive bonus to get close to Amara, steal her documents, and shatter her heart, forcing her to drop the lawsuit. Richard, seeing Amara as an easy target, accepted the mission. Richard arranged a chance meeting with Amara at the National Library, pretending to be a struggling business student named Rick. He listened to her struggles, cooked her meals, and defended her publicly. Amara, desperately lonely and stressed, found his kindness refreshing and began to relax her guard. She felt safe, which was exactly what Richard was counting on. Mr. Okoro, suspicious of Vivian, hired a private investigator who quickly reported the secret meeting with Richard. Realizing Amara was in danger, Okoro knew he couldn't reveal the truth directly. He decided he had to deliver a subtle warning that only Amara would understand. Okoro arranged a fake meeting with Amara at her lawyer's office. As he left, he subtly bumped into her and pressed a tiny, folded note into her palm. "Be careful of wolves in sheep's clothing, Amara," he whispered. Amara later unfolded the note. It contained only 2 words in her father's handwriting: Richard's debt. The trust she felt for Rick instantly turned cold. She realized he was Vivian's weapon, and she prepared to use his game against him. Amara, heartbroken but determined, acted completely vulnerable with Richard. She told him a lie. "I need to hide the documents where no one can find them. I've taped them under the loose floorboard in my old apartment. I need you to come with me tonight." Richard, thinking he had won, eagerly agreed. Amara had already locked the real documents in a bank vault. That night, at Amara's old apartment, Richard waited until Amara stepped into the kitchen. He quickly pulled up the loose board and found a thick envelope. He slipped it into his jacket and left, claiming he had an early meeting. The envelope he stole contained brilliantly forged documents, fake evidence designed to make Vivian look ridiculous and confirm Richard's betrayal. Richard went straight to Vivian's private club and handed her the envelope. Vivian, ecstatic, cut him a massive check. She opened the envelope, scanned the fake papers, and laughed in triumph. But Richard's celebration died when he saw Amara standing inside the club entrance, flanked by her lawyer and a photographer. He realized, with a horrifying jolt, that he had been set up. Amara walked towards their table. "Mrs. Adebayo," she announced, her voice strong. "Thank you for gathering all your co-conspirators in one place. Your attempt to hire Mr. Richard Oyelowo to steal and betray me has been documented." The camera flashed. Vivian dropped the fake papers. Amara placed a certified copy of the check Vivian gave Richard on the table. "The check you just signed is proof of your conspiracy. I have filed a police report." Amara turned and walked out, leaving Vivian choking on her rage. The aftermath of the club. The picture of Vivian and the disgraced Richard went viral. The corporate fraud unit launched a formal investigation into Vivian for obstruction of justice. Vivian was publicly stripped of her position as acting CEO. Her empire was crumbling. Mr. Okoro, now in charge, presented Amara's legal claim and the police report detailing Vivian's conspiracy to the company board. The board voted overwhelmingly to acknowledge Amara as the legal beneficiary and demanded that Vivian, Tunde Jr., and Lara vacate the corporate headquarters and the family mansion immediately. Losing the mansion was the final blow. Vivian and her children moved out and began fighting constantly. Amara, meanwhile, quietly began studying the complex financial documents, preparing herself for the immense role she was about to inherit. The final court hearing was swift. Amara Ibe was the legal, rightful heir. As the gavel fell, Okoro's phone buzzed. "The digital key has been activated," he announced. "The chief's final, sealed video message will now unlock on the corporate server." Amara, eager to hear her father's voice, rushed to the corporate headquarters. In his dark office, Amara watched the chief's video. He looked tired but spoke with genuine sadness. "If you are watching this, Amara," he began, "it means I am gone, and you have won the battle. I am so sorry for the secrets." He explained he left her the company because he knew she would run it with the integrity and kindness her mother taught her. The chief then addressed his former family. "Vivian, the wealth you inherited from your grandfather was built on lies and corruption." He revealed a massive fraud, a decades-old scandal he had spent his life covering up. Vivian had always known this secret, which was why she was so desperate to maintain control and silence Amara. Amara was the only one untainted by the family's dark legacy. The revelation of the corporate fraud was the final nail. Vivian was charged with fraud and conspiracy. Her glamorous life was over. Tunde Jr. and Lara, stripped of their privilege, were forced to start over, learning the hard lessons of earning an honest living. The days following the investor gala were a whirlwind of media coverage and criminal investigations. The chief's video confession provided the roadmap for the police and financial regulators. Mr. Wallace and Tunde Jr. were formally charged with corporate espionage and fraud. The old crimes, the corruption that funded the Adebayo dynasty, were finally dragged into the light. The opulent Adebayo mansion, once a symbol of impenetrable power, was seized by the government as a forfeited asset. It stood empty, a cold monument to the illusion of wealth. The sheer scale of the legal consequences forced the public to finally accept the truth. Amara was not the gold digger, she was the truth teller. Vivian, already facing charges for the Richard conspiracy, now faced the full force of the law for covering up the decades-old corporate fraud. She had lost her children's loyalty, her reputation, and her freedom. She was utterly alone. No socialite friends called. No lawyers dared to take her case. Her power, built on influence and image, vanished the moment she could no longer control the narrative. The woman who once controlled the city's social scene was now just a prisoner of her own greed. Lara, whose assistance in exposing her brother's betrayal saved the company, was granted a degree of leniency. She was disgusted by her mother's and brother's actions. She approached Amara, not asking for money, but for a chance to help clean up the mess. "I don't want the fortune, Amara," Lara admitted, tears in her eyes. "I just want to do something useful with my life, instead of just posing for cameras. Can I help with the foundation?" Amara, recognizing a flicker of genuine change, gave her a small, temporary role handling the public relations, an opportunity for Lara to earn back her dignity through honest work. Tunde Jr.'s ambition led him straight to jail. Facing serious charges, he realized too late that chasing his mother's approval and Wallace's fake promise had cost him everything. He wasn't equipped for life outside his privilege. This was the crushing realization. His sense of entitlement was his biggest weakness. The reality of true loss, freedom, family, and reputation, was the hard lesson he would have to spend years learning. Despite being the new owner of a multi-million-dollar empire, Amara chose silence. She avoided the talk shows and magazine covers. She used her time not celebrating, but learning. She sat for hours with Mr. Okoro, meticulously reviewing every contract and financial ledger, ensuring the company was entirely free of the old corruption. Amara's first official day as CEO was quiet. She walked into the vast, modern headquarters, not in designer clothes, but in a simple, elegant suit. The employees, who had watched the drama unfold, greeted her with a mix of respect and cautious hope. She spent the entire day meeting with small groups of long-serving staff, listening to their concerns and ideas. Amara called an emergency board meeting. She presented her radical plan to clean house, sell off any assets linked to the past fraud, and, crucially, reinvest a massive portion of the oil profits into the community. She argued that the company owed a debt to society because of its corrupt foundation. The board, cowed by the scandal and impressed by her vision, voted in favor. Amara officially announced the Adebayo Legacy Project, a massive fund dedicated to educational scholarships for underprivileged students across the nation. This was a deep, personal commitment. The money that should have been spent on corporate bonuses was now funding the dreams of students just like Amara used to be. The media, which had once called her a gold digger, now hailed her as a visionary philanthropist. What about Richard, the handsome betrayer? His story ended quietly and miserably. Exposed as a paid liar and facing serious charges, he lost his job and his reputation. The large check Vivian gave him was seized as evidence. He didn't get the girl, he didn't get the money, and he was left with nothing but his crushing debt. His fate was a clear, bitter lesson. Betrayal is the currency of the poor and the weak. Mr. Okoro, the honest corporate lawyer, was rewarded for his integrity. Amara promoted him, giving him the authority to help her purge the remaining corruption. Mr. Lawson, Amara's fierce young attorney, became the company's chief legal counsel. Their success confirmed that loyalty and honesty were now the most valuable assets at Adebayo Oil. Months later, Amara finally felt a sense of peace. The courts ruled the remaining matters settled. She decided to sell the opulent Adebayo mansion, using the proceeds entirely for the legacy project. She chose to live in a beautiful, but much smaller, modern home in the city, closer to the university. She had conquered the symbol of corruption. She did not need to be owned by it. Amara stepped into her new role as CEO. The cleanup was complete, and she had announced the massive dedication of oil profits to educational scholarships for underprivileged students. The story ends with Amara sitting in the chief's chair. The glass walls of the office reflect the clean, vibrant Lagos skyline. She is the epitome of the new power, honest, earned, and focused on community. She looks at a framed picture of her mother, Ngozi, which she keeps on her desk. She whispers softly, "We did it, Mama." Her victory was about honesty, dignity, and turning a corrupt legacy into a force for good. Thank you so much for watching this African tale. Tell me, where are you watching from? Please drop your thoughts in the comments section. I'd really love to hear from you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring African stories. And always remember, love, faith, and courage are the greatest treasures you can ever have. God bless you all. Bye.